Okay, we've got an update for you now on a Canadian who was stuck in Gaza when the war began. Asia Mathkour has been sending us updates through voice notes when her family first got stuck in Gaza on October 7th. She was there with her 2 children and parents who were also Canadian citizens, as well as other family members who were not. Her husband being one of those people. Well, Asia's sister-in-law, May Latif, has joined us on this show several times to give us updates on the status of the family. But inconsistent communications lines, last-minute evacuations from one house to another, on top of illness and lack of food and water, made the updates quite short and very bleak. At times, May told us the only comfort she had was a text from Asia simply saying, "We are still alive." Well, a few weeks ago, May gave us the good news that Asia, 5-year-old Salam, and 2-year-old Salma are now safely out of Gaza, as are Asia and her husband. Asia Mathkour and May Latif join us now, and we're going to talk about Asia's experience and May's experience witnessing it from here in Canada. So, Asia, it's lovely to meet you after talking about you so much on this show. You finally made it out of Gaza after weeks of fear for you, for your children. How are you feeling now that you're safe?
I don't feel well, to be honest. There is survival guilt and there's lots of worry, and I'm not settled. And there's still family back in Gaza. My father's still back in Gaza. So yes, I am safe now. There's no bombs dropping on us. Physically, I am safe. Psychologically, I'm not. My mind and my thoughts are all in Gaza. My heart is in Gaza. My father is in Gaza. So that, yes, I survived, getting bombed, but I'm not well. We are not, not all my kids are well, not my husband, not my mother. We're not well, to be honest.
Can you just explain, your father is still in Gaza. Can you just explain to me why that is? Was he unable to leave? Did he choose to stay, as some people have decided to do? What is his status?
My father decided that he needs to stay back because all his siblings, like my uncles, my aunts, their families, and he is the person who takes care of the whole family. So it was impossible for him to leave until today. We are trying to convince him, and every day we talk to him. We try to connect with him, and the situation just keeps getting worse. And he's like, I cannot leave them behind. Right. Who's going to take care of them? And a lot of people are seeking him for help, for housing, for money, for anything that he could offer. So for him, it's really hard to leave anyone behind. And he knows it's impossible to get all his extended family, like all his brothers and sisters and their families outside of Gaza.
So your father is still there, but as May has been telling us in our many conversations, you have made it out with your 2 children, Salma and Salam. And you can understand the desire of any parent to get their kids to safety, even if others have to stay behind. I just wonder how they're doing right now that they're out of Gaza.
My children are, right now, it's been almost a month since we've left. So they are, they're kids. They're trying, their best. We're trying our best to, keep them always busy. They're still under so much stress. Like the tantrums are extra. Even us as adults, we're unable to cope with their tantrums because we're all so stressed. We went through so many traumatic experiences, and also Salma and Salam, when they see a plane just descending or they hear any loud noises, they just do this. And then Salma would run to me, and then she would say, "War, war, war," or rockets. She gets really scared, and obviously we would have to, we are in Egypt, we are safe, don't worry, this is not Gaza. So yeah.
So May, clearly the family still has some healing and recovery to do to deal with the trauma of all of that, but they're out. How did it feel for you to finally hear that the family members you and I have spoken about so many times were finally able to get to safety?
Yeah, it's a mix of emotions. Definitely a sense of relief, particularly for the children. Um, but there's so much pain that it's hard to feel joy. So there's the joy comes in moments, just reminding ourselves that they're safe, everything's good, because there was a time where we didn't know if that was a possibility. Um, but it's a long journey. As Asia mentioned, we have a lot of loved ones who are there. On a daily basis, we receive news that someone has been murdered, either from their family or a family friend. So we're sitting in deep grief, but at the same time, very grateful for the people who are safe and for any good news that comes our way.
I know May, Asia and her family were able to get out because of Canadian citizenship and the help of the Canadian government. I know her father has decided to stay behind. You have other family members who were there who might be able to leave because of a clear attachment to Canada, or the family members who are there either of other nationalities and not sort of in that group of people that Canada is able to lobby for.
So as Asia mentioned, there's a large amount of people who can't leave because they do not have any dual citizenships. We do know of friends who are either American, European, or Canadian who have chosen to stay either because they're doctors or they're in a position where they can assist, and they've chose to stay behind. And we have people that, because of the fact that we've been on the news, we have people who do reach out to us to talk to us, to ask for support, who just tell us, please, is there any way you can get us out? And unfortunately, there isn't. Like, please, if you can just get out our children, it's okay if we stay behind. And this has been quite difficult on us because we feel helpless. We help when we can. And I think that also helps us feel better. It doesn't feel as overwhelming when you're just witnessing the atrocities and not being able to do anything. But it's a very complicated situation just because of the fact that some can go, some can't, and some who are able to go are deciding not to because they're staying behind to help their people.
Asia, you're still in Egypt, recovering, stabilizing after everything you've been through. I would presume the plan is to come back to Canada, but given what you've told us about how your kids react to planes, how do you get them on a plane to fly back here? I mean, how do you think you're going to be able to navigate that?
I think it's just going to take quite some time for them to get used to, to get settled in their bodies. They will, you know what I mean? Like, they will know that it's safe once they go through maybe a month or two of, not hearing bombs, not hearing, seeing us so like scared or evacuating from one place to another. That will just, I think with time, they're going to know that it's going to be safe to get on a plane. And of course, I'm going to have to, show them that, hey, videos of airplanes where people fly to one country to another country. And I have all my siblings are in Canada now. So I will try to motivate them that, hey, we're going to go see your uncles, your cousins,
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge. I've got two kids, and I dread taking them on an airplane, and there's none of these underlying conditions that you have to deal with, right? So all of this, it delays May and Asia, I guess, an in-person reunion for a little while. How soon do you hope to actually, May, hope to see your sister-in-law in the flesh?
It's hard. I don't know. I'm hoping within the next month or so, things start to settle, and maybe even we go there to support them to come back, to help them in the travel,
right.
In their journey. As she said, the children have experienced evacuating, and I'll word it better, running, really fleeing from one place to another. So I think it's good for them to be settled for a while in one place and not having to come to a completely new environment again. And to hopefully do that when they feel safer, that is.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Asia, given everything Salma and Salam have been through, to stabilize it and comfort them for a little while is likely the top priority right now. There are growing calls for a ceasefire in this conflict. It doesn't seem like that is imminent or probable in the near future, Asia. And the military incursion has pushed further south into Gaza, into sort of near the area where you've been taking refuge. I just wonder what you're hoping to see happen next in this conflict, what broader message you might have for people watching this at home.
A ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire. That's number one, especially that they are moving into the south. And honestly, I cannot express or have the words to tell you how many people they call me on a daily basis from Khan Yunis, friends that are telling me, hey, please, can you find us a place in Rafah? Can we rent a place in Rafah? Is there anywhere safe we can go? Can you call your father? People, my father told me that extended family, they came from Khan Yunis, about 50 people. And they had to lay out tents literally outside the house, because there's no space in the house to house another 50 people. There's already 100 people in that house. And the situation is getting worse and worse. There's no food, there's no clean water. Even for females, there's no pads, there's nothing. They can't shower, they can't. It's a very dire situation, honestly. And as people at home, we need to put pressure on our government to call out for a ceasefire, because as a human, I'm sure people don't want to see other normal civilians getting all murdered. And also for I know that I've heard from a new program called a family reunification, where people from Canada, they could apply for their relatives in Gaza to get them out. Because what I've known, that so many people, Canadians right now, they're trying to get their parents, their siblings, or their siblings' families, and they're not able to, because that in the law is not an immediate family member. So we need to get that motion moved, so that people like, a doctor in Canada spoke to me, and she cannot get her mother or brother outside of Gaza.
Right. May, just quick final thoughts from you on what do you hope happens next? What's your message to people watching?
Well, throughout this experience of me coming on the news and sharing our story, I've had a large amount of pouring in of support and love, and that's been helping me really remain in my humanity as I bear witness to atrocities, specifically brutal murder of children. And what I'm being reminded of on a daily basis, that the vast majority of people are choosing human life over suffering. The vast majority of people do want a ceasefire, are confused that our countries here, democratic countries here in the West, our leaders are not choosing the same thing. And the work I've been doing is really connecting on the micro level with people from various nationalities, including Jewish people of Israeli nationalities, who have been reaching out to provide their support. And we've been connecting really in the area that no human should suffer, no human should die in that way. And trying to create healing circles for people who can come together, have these conversations to remind them that love is truly greater than everything we're seeing right now. And I think if we continue to do that work as humans on the micro level, that's eventually going to play out in the macro. Our leaders are going to catch on to the fact that any suffering, no matter anywhere in the world, is something we have to stand up for, because it affects us as humans. And so that's the message I want to leave, is don't be scared to have conversations with people from all sides. Most people really just want the suffering to end, and are not wishing harm on others, just like we're seeing stories playing out in the news. It's not the reality. The experiences are much more nuanced.
Well, May Latif, thank you for speaking with me throughout this and sharing your story with us. And Asia, I'm so glad you're safe. I'm very happy to meet you, and all my best to you and Salma and Salam and your husband. Thank you so much.
Thank you also for sharing our story.